Telling a story with Scratch. Part 1, Dialogue. In this tutorial, we're going to develop a simple dialogue between two characters by planning our dialogue, planning our cues, and implementing dialogue in code using those cues. This is the dialogue that we're going to examine for this particular video. So here we are in Scratch watching our two characters, and they're going to have a bit of a conversation. So I'm going to hit start here, and you can see that the cat will start talking when I hit start. There we go. And it's going to tell a joke, and the chicken's going to react to that joke. And basically you can see that they're doing it in a nice even paced time, although it gets a bit difficult to read when you put lots of text in. So there you go. That's the narrative that I'm going to be telling in this particular activity. Now, when two people talk with each other, they use social cues. Social cues let us know when we can take turns in our talking. When we're excited or angry, we generally tend to not be as good at following social cues, but most of the time we're pretty good at following these. Social cues can include hand gestures, using certain words, changing the tone or inflection of our voice to let people know that we're asking a question, for example, the use of pauses in our speech, and things like facial expression. The problem is that the Scratch characters don't have any of these capabilities whatsoever. In our code example, we used timing. You can see here that the cat code on the left hand side, the cat and the chicken on the right hand side do everything for an even 2 seconds. In order to make that better, we have to adjust the time. If we need to adjust the time for one, then we also have to adjust the time equally for another. This is easy enough in this situation, but in a situation where we've got 3 or more characters, or the characters are animated, or other effects have to happen, or sound effects, it gets very hard to manage keeping those things in time. So using time is not an effective way of doing things. We don't do that in real life conversations because we don't know how long the person is going to talk for. Instead, we're going to use code event cues. And to do that, I'm going to look at a special piece of paper that you're going to use in order to write your scripts. So here I am looking at my script pro forma, and you can get this from your teacher. And basically, you can see that the scene title is called The Joke. I've got 2 characters involved, a cat and a chicken, and I've got a scene overview. There's no animation overview, but the cat is going to tell a joke that upsets the chicken. And you can see here I've got the character, and this is what the character's saying. And basically I filled this in. You'll notice that there's a second page here. You don't get to see that, but there is a second page here. You might have 10 pages, in which case you would go 1 of 10. And I would keep it so that if you can't fit your dialogue in there, you probably need to use an extra box and actually have the animal or the character say that with a different speech bubble. So basically, otherwise it's just going to be too hard for the person to read on the screen. You can now see that I've added this cue column in here, or I've actually added information into this cue column here. And as we've sort of discussed in this video, you can't, or the cat doesn't know when the chicken has finished speaking, and vice versa. So as a result, I've created a system of queuing over here. So when the chicken is ready to talk, it's going to receive a CH with a number after it, and the number just makes that unique so that it just knows that it's going to have that. So you can see that when this is clicked, when the flag is clicked, the cat is going to talk, and it's going to say, I know a joke. Once that joke is finished, it's going to send a cue to the chicken, CH1, and the chicken will pick up on that cue and then say what. And that'll continue down the cat1 cue and the CH2 cue, and then you'll be able to manage that rather than actually having to change the time. Now that we've looked at those cues and we've set them up in our script on our piece of paper, we can put those into our code, and it becomes a lot easier now that they're written down on a piece of paper next to our computer. So here I am in Scratch, and I've got my trusty piece of paper here with me with my cues and my script all written on it. And you can see that I've still got the code in here, one for the cat and one for the chicken. And we should already know how to do this. So you should know that you get the purple things from the purple section here, and you get the orange things from the light orange section, and you get the dark orange things from the dark orange section. So basically what we're going to do here is we're going to replace this. So if I look at my cue, my scripting pro forma, I can see that the first cue is correct. When this is clicked, it's going to say, the cat is going to say, I know a joke. So that's the first thing it's going to say. Once the cat is finished saying, I know a joke, it needs to send a message or a cue to the chicken, to let the chicken know it's time to talk. So we're going to use the broadcast. So we're going to broadcast our message, and our message is going to be our cue that we wrote in the table. So in my case, it is CH1. So I'm going to type in a new message, and it's going to be called CH1. CH1, okay. So there it is. It's going to broadcast CH1, and that goes out to all of the characters, and only the chicken's going to pick that up though. If I click across to the chicken script, the chicken now has this when clicked. We're not going to use that, so we're going to get rid of those two things there, and instead we're going to say what straight afterwards. So this is what the chicken says first up after it receives a cue. When I receive CH1, I'm going to say this. The next thing that happens is that it then sends a message back to the cat, a new message called, according to my script pro forma, CAT1. Now you can use whatever words you want here, but as long as you're consistent with your script, this will work. So now let's just test that. Press play. I know a joke. And the chicken says what? Okay, so you can see there that that's worked so far. What I'm going to do is I'm going to basically just broadcast all these messages out to the cat. This will be cat 2. I know this because my script tells me so. And this will be cat 3. I also know this because my script tells me to. And I'm going to broadcast the final one after here. Actually, I don't need to do that. That's the last one. So basically, we've got that one there. I can't do anything with that there because I haven't got any to receive, because I can only receive things that have been broadcast. And I don't want to receive any of these at the moment. So I need to go back to my cat now. And I'm going to take off all these times. So I'm going to take off that time. And that time. And that time. Oops, don't want to put that in there. And I'm going to check my cues now. So when I'm basically, for this one, when I receive, and this one is, according to my thing, the first one's clicked, the second one is cat 1. This is going to receive cat 2. And this is going to receive, oops, cat 3. And now I need to send some. So I'm just going to go send this one here, just do them all at the same time. So this one needs to send out to CH2. So you have the CH1, CH2, chicken 2. This one's going to send out a message saying CH3. Okay, and this one's going to send out a message saying CH4. Okay, now I need to go back to the chicken and just fix those broadcasts up. So when I receive CH2, when I receive CH3, and when I receive CH4. And now I should be able to press play. And it should just work the same way it did before. And you'll see that as it goes through, it's received that one. This one glows. So you can see where you're up to. You can do some fault finding and see if it's not working by following that through. And that is how you use queuing, using the broadcast and when I receive methods to create a really nice, neat dialogue that doesn't rely on you having to get the timing right. So I can now make this maybe 3 seconds without having to change that on the CAD as well. You might be prompted to ask that this is more work. Shouldn't computers make things easier and simpler? Shouldn't we just be able to just go and do this without worrying about all this queuing and all this extra stuff? Well, I'm going to tell you now that this makes it easier to manage more characters and more actions, so your work will look and feel a lot better for the audience. Planning rather than jumping in always gives you a better result when you're coding. And the planning that you're doing here is helpful in other areas of your schooling. I'd like you to take a few seconds to think about what other areas might be helped by the coding or the planning that you just did.